All right, so what's going on? Hopefully having a great day. I just had to do this video to talk about NBA media because I've been up for a little bit today. Been looking on, TikTok, the Four Letter Network, ESPN, seeing some of the conversations that have been going on, and I just had to speak on some things that I've heard and seen that just don't make any sense to me right now. So hopefully you enjoy this video because normally, I have the little um overlay up with the visuals and everything like that. There's no visuals for this. So this is going to be a little bit different because, like I said, there's just a lot of things I need to talk about, and I want to do that with you. So, obviously, with anything that I do bring up, you let me know what you think about it in the comment section. That's you already know. I want to hear from you. So, first off, I, and look, this video might be all over the place, but it is NBA related, so it is interwoven with each other. Just bear with me. So first off, I saw a video where they were doing, the silent challenge. If you haven't seen that, they put up a player, then the participants don't speak until a player that's better than that player, than the original player, comes up. Seen it, I haven't done one. Maybe I should do one because that might be fun. But the player in question was Carmelo Anthony. You remember him, great scorer and everything, not the best defender. We know that, but great scorer, seen as a great player, right? Was a superstar in the league, even though you know how I feel that the superstar label's been thrown around too much, but neither here nor there. So the first person that comes up, Anthony Edwards. If it was me, I would have been speaking at that point because I can make the argument that Anthony Edwards right now and how I would project him to be is probably better than Carmelo Anthony. But if you don't want to make the argument, that's perfectly fine. I feel like that's debatable. The next image that comes up is Jimmy Butler, and the first guy starts talking like, "Yeah, obviously." And look, I get it. Heat culture is a fun term and everything like that. Jimmy Butler, I'll say, is probably like a really great leader of a team. He, you know, probably is a locker room. Well, actually, I don't even know if he's a locker room guy because I know he can rub some people the wrong way because of his kind of like old school attitude, I guess, about it. But let's not kid ourselves, right? In what world is Jimmy Butler better than Carmelo Anthony? Am I crazy to say that? If I am, you let me know because, like I said, the it was three of them. So the one who said absolutely, he was like, "Yeah, Jimmy Butler's better than Carmelo Anthony." Carmelo Anthony. Then a second person was like, I think he was kind of on the fence about it. But when the first one kind of spoke up, he was just like, I could see that. So the third person who thought it was crazy that they went for Jimmy Butler was like, what is Jimmy Butler better than Carmelo Anthony at? And he was like, what, defense? And the other two was like, well, yeah, because I mean, that's obvious. Yes. Jimmy Butler is a better defensive player than Carmelo Anthony. But then the other two making the argument for Jimmy Butler said, well, he has that dog in him. And the other one who didn't agree was like, that's not really a stat. And I'm like, that's why Jimmy Butler's better than Carmelo Anthony? Because there's that dog in him? But let's be real. Jimmy Butler teams underperform in the regular season. And I'm just using his Heat tenure. They underperform. They treat the regular season like it's nothing. Then they get to the playoffs. He has several games within playoff series where you don't even notice him on the court, but he has that dog in him. I mean, I get neither player has won a title, yes, but do we really get those games from Carmelo when he's in there? We don't notice him on the court? No. Because one thing, good or bad, you'll probably notice if he's having an off night shooting, he's still going to be putting up shots, whether you like that or not, whatever. And then defensively, I mean, I give Carmelo a lot of crap for his defense. I feel like he tries, right? We'll give him that. He tries. I mean, we'll give him that to Trae Young and Luka, although Luka, I think has gotten a little bit better. But yeah, so even if you're saying Jimmy Butler has that dog in him, however highly you rate that dog in him, I would rate Carmelo's offensive ability higher than that. So I thought that was hilarious to me. And that just got my day started. Because then I'm watching ESPN and they're having this conversation that I am so sick and tired of about the changing of the guard in the NBA. And how are we going to handle that? Who's next and all this kind of stuff. Number one, as a basketball fan, when any great leaves the sport, you know how I deal with the changing of the guard? I watch other great players. It's that simple. And I mean, you know how much I feel like I've talked about Greeny on here a little bit, but probably a little bit more over on Integrity Sports Network on the shows there. But he has a way of coming up with like real, I guess the term would be casual takes. But I do feel like he did hit on something today where he said is the fact that they're asking the question about like the change in the guard and who's up next is that the media, the NBA media's fault for being late to the game on some of the young great players in the league. I completely agree with that. That might have been the first smart thing Greeny has said in a little bit. Because remember, he had the whole thing about the Lakers avoiding Denver because of whatever, losing playing game on purpose, whatever, all that kind of stuff. But that statement from Greeny, I completely agree with. Because the NBA media has created this problem where, KD, Steph, LeBron are all sitting at home and we're only into the second round of the NBA playoffs. So now they're wondering, obviously the league is changing away from those guys to a younger group, but who are we supposed to look for? Gee, I don't know. There's a guy in Minnesota named Anthony Edwards, although they did kind of say that because of what Anthony Edwards did against Phoenix and what he did last night to Denver, that he's clearly arrived on the scene. Well, yeah, if you watched him during the regular season, you would already know the kind of player he was. They brought up Luka Doncic and some other guys like that, which once again, those guys have kind of been doing their thing for a little bit. So I feel like, why are we now talking about changing the guard and how's the league going to handle that? If I'm Adam Silver, I kick back and just let it play out because there's plenty of great young players in the league today. SGA, Tyrese Maxey, Jason Tatum, who for some reason ESPN just hates giving Jason Tatum any credit whatsoever. And to be fully transparent, yes, I am a Celtics fan. So maybe you may not look at him in that group, and may think that this is a little bit Homer-ish, I guess, but the kind of disrespect that dude gets, as well as Jaylen Brown, I'm going to throw him in there too, because Jaylen Brown, and this is going to, circle back to Tim Legler, who was on there as well. But actually, let's start with Tim Legler, because they mentioned names like Jalen Brunson, Tyrese Halliburton, guys like that. No mention of Jason Tatum as the next wave of young players. And Tim Legler said it's because the perception on Tatum is he needs a bunch of help to get a ring because he's fallen short a time before. And I'm like, that's interesting. So Jason Tatum needs help. So by help, do you mean the Jaylen Brown, who's his sidekick, which is the guy that most NBA people have been telling us isn't that good, needs to be traded because he doesn't fit Tatum, doesn't have a left hand, didn't deserve the contract he just got, but that is too much help. Okay, let's move past Jaylen Brown. They brought in Kristaps Porzingis. So the same Porzingis who was drafted by the Knicks Nobody knew about him. They called him the unicorn and everything, but he was getting hurt all the time, has been pegged as an injury prone player, was playing in Washington. Nobody was paying attention to him. They got rid of guys like Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon, and people said, why would you get rid of Marcus Smart when he's the heart and soul of the team? They brought in the oft injured Kristaps Porzingis. Okay, too much help. You're talking about the 33-year-old Drew Holiday? Too much help? Or Derek White, who they like doesn't get any recognition. Was he in Defensive Player of the Year? Was he a finalist? No. Is he? I mean, I'm assuming he's going to make an All NBA defensive team. But where's the too much help? Remember, Tatum and Brown have been kind of doing this since they got together several years ago. They made the Eastern Conference Finals run when they were young and inexperienced, when I believe Gordon Hayward got hurt that season and Kyrie Irving was sitting on the sidelines. Well, actually, he wasn't even on the sidelines for that Eastern Conference Finals. It was at Game 7 against LeBron's Cleveland team because he had to get some nose procedure done instead of, whatever. So I guess he needed too much help back then. Or, well, like I said, the same team where was he and Jaylen Brown when they went up against the Warriors in the finals. Yes, they came up short. And Tatum's getting killed for it even to this day. But yeah, he needs help. And so like I said, Legler said because of the help and how dominant they've been this year, it hurts Tatum. So now that hurts Tatum. The same way Windhorst, who was also on set, another guy that whatever, said Tatum can't get MVP because of the finals loss to the Warriors. Still, to this day, one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. And Windhorst decided to give his MVP of the playoffs so far. You think Tatum, Brown, White, any of those guys were on there? No. He had like Joel Embiid. They had Jalen Brunson number 1. So to even circle back to the TikTok video that I was talking about, can we stop overrating Jimmy Butler? Because saying Jimmy Butler's better than Carmelo Anthony is disrespectful. And look, I'm one of those who actually is pretty critical of Carmelo Anthony. I would never, ever find myself saying Jimmy Butler is better than Carmelo Anthony. Never. But can we also stop getting to the point where we're basically overrating Jalen Brunson? I like Jalen Brunson. I like the tough nature to his game. But I feel like the longer he plays in New York, the longer their playoff run goes, I may start hating Jalen Brunson because I get it. He's playing in New York, and we've seen this several times where guys get to New York, they have a little bit of success, and then the media goes crazy with them. My classic example is always, you remember Jeremy Lin? Some of you might not, but he was, an Asian American player some years ago, was really a nobody. He got to New York for like a couple of weeks there, was going off, and they sat there and gave him the nickname Linsanity. Linsanity. And what's funny about that is, for all the talk about Jaylen Brown not having a left hand, even though if you watch Jaylen Brown enough, he makes plenty of plays with his left hand, Jeremy Lin had 0 left hand. And because that Knicks team was so bad and irrelevant, the fact that Jeremy Lin got there and put up some high-scoring games got people to go to New York, to Madison Square Garden, and it overrated him. I fear that's what's going to happen with Jalen Brunson. He was, Luka's backup in Dallas. He got out of Dallas. The Knicks are his team. I get that. And he's led them to a really good regular season. They were with the 2 seed in the playoffs. I get that. They're a fun team to watch. I will say that. I like their brand. Funny that Tom Thibodeau was a guy who was getting a lot of hate for the Knicks not being as good as New Yorkers wanted them to be. And now that they're a 2 seed, Tom Thibodeau is all of a sudden some great coach, even though he's been one all the time. And look, I get it. He runs his starters into the ground. Tom Thibodeau is very old school. I kind of respect that about him, not going to lie. But why does NBA media keep doing this? So now Jalen Brunson's their next love child. They're going to push him to the moon. I guess it's steal from wrestling. They're going to push him to the moon at the detriment of other great young players. But not even about that. But this talk about the changing of the guard, going back to that. So they brought up Jalen Brunson. They brought up Luka. And then Greeny, after I was trying to give Greeny some credit, he was like, I mean, we could throw Tatum in there, but he is a little bit older than the other people in the conversation. Now, at that time, I think they were talking about Anthony Edwards, and Anthony Edwards is only, 22? So, yes, he's a little bit older than that. But the fact that they had been giving flowers to Jalen Brunson and Luka Doncic all segment, but Jason Tatum, a little bit older than the other ones. Jason Tatum is 26 years old. You know how old Jalen Brunson is? 27. So how come Tatum's too old? It was a little bit older. Jalen Brunson's older. Luka Doncic is 25. Let's stop acting like Luka's 19 years old. So, I feel like at this point, might be rambling on. Some of you might have checked out, but this may be something I revisit because, like I said, this might have been a little bit all over the place. But the next part that got me was, and this might have been the main focus for me doing this video. This is why I'm leaving it for last. But why is it now all of a sudden that these LeBron GOAT people are criticizing him for stuff I have been saying and other people have been saying for years, and we're being called haters? But now LeBron people are saying it. They're being insightful. They're being objective. That got me going. And the main person was Kendrick Perkins. Now look, Kendrick Perkins will go on any place that puts a camera in his face and scream from the mountaintops how LeBron's the GOAT. LeBron's the GOAT. Y'all hating. LeBron's the GOAT. Carry on. If you see him on Twitter or X, that's what carry on. That's what he loves to put. And then now he's sitting there talking about how LeBron having a 10th coach hurts his GOAT legacy. And at this point, he wishes LeBron would just retire. What? What is he talking about? Once again, as somebody who's been labeled a LeBron hater, even though all I say is, being objective, he's not above criticism. Because when we talk about GOATs and everything, I'm one of those who, yes, Michael Jordan to me is the GOAT, but I can also acknowledge LeBron being a great player, just not the greatest to me. And I'm also not one of those who, some LeBron people only want to hear LeBron's the greatest and don't want to hear on any other point of view. I, for one, am one of those who loves hearing from people who talk about Bill Russell, or if you want to say Will Chamberlain or anybody like that. I am here for the conversation because I know a little bit about Bill Russell. Sorry, I wasn't around then to watch him play, but I understand what he went through. So I do have definitely a place for him up there. It's just that I usually use it as people I've seen play. And I always use that clarifier. The GOAT to me, Michael Jordan, I saw him play, grew up with him, saw LeBron play, so I can compare the two and say Jordan was better. That's how I usually use it. But anyway, not to get off topic. So now, it was Perk, Stephen A., Shannon Sharpe. We're talking about it. And Shannon Sharpe from his days at Fox Sports. Anytime the Lakers won a game, he's showing up the next day in his LeBron jersey with the GOAT mask on, and he's just singing his praises. And not to say that Shannon doesn't think LeBron's still the GOAT, because he probably does, but he was saying that lack of accountability is an issue he has with LeBron. Excuse me, you just found that out? I don't know. Let's look around. It's been right there in front of y'all's face, but now you're seeing it. So all the years with all the young players, when he'd sit there, do the little interviews after games with his little cryptic messages, basically letting the team know that the guys were no good around him. Would you think that was? All the coaches that he has been through. Now, some of them I get, right? David Blatt, say what you want about him. Has he got another coaching job since then? I guess that's validation for LeBron. But they were still having a good season at that point, I think, when they moved on from almost like a Adrian Griffin situation. But neither here nor there. Mike Brown, like the way LeBron and Cleveland treated Mike Brown, you'd have thought Mike Brown was some scrub. But then years later, Mike Brown gets another opportunity in Sacramento. He had Sacramento on the come up. So clearly he's a good coach. Luke Walton's another one. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and make an argument for Luke Walton, but I feel like the last two, yeah. Frank Vogel took a Pacers squad with Paul George and got them to an Eastern Conference final, was seen as a really good coach in the NBA. When back then, when he took them to the conference finals, when you talk about great coaches in the NBA, it was like Pop, Spoelstra, and Vogel was a guy who was entering into that like top 5. He gets to LA. They saddle him with Russell Westbrook to be a starting point guard in a lineup with LeBron and AD, which obviously was never going to work, didn't work. Who'd they blame? Frank Vogel. And look, I've said this before, like Frank Vogel leaves that job, goes to Phoenix to deal with one Kevin Durant, which, I mean, that's probably for another video, but like Frank Vogel's resume took a hit because of his stint in LA, which he had zero control over, because every team led by LeBron, when they win, it's all about LeBron's legacy, LeBron's greatness, LeBron this, LeBron that. And then they lose, well, the coach isn't good enough for him. The coach isn't utilizing the players best enough to bring out the best around LeBron. That's always been the thing. Every stop he's made, that's always been the narrative. Except for one, Miami. Because remember, and this was talked about for maybe 2 days randomly. LeBron wanted Spoelstra fired in Miami. Pat Riley said, nah, we're not doing that, which kind of led to LeBron leaving Miami. And look where Spoelstra is today. You know, I feel like Spoelstra is a little bit overrated, but he is a really good coach. So imagine if Pat Riley had listened to LeBron back then, what would Spoelstra be today? I don't know. But I thought that Miami kind of let people know you can't let LeBron run your organization, because in the end, you will be left holding the bag of criticism while he gets to walk away scot-free. And that's what's happening in LA. Because, and look, I know Laker fans aren't necessarily didn't like, Darvin Ham. I get that. But just remember, when Darvin Ham got the job, he was seen as an up-and-coming assistant coach in the league that was destined to be a head coach in this league. He was seen as the best option if you're going the assistant coach route, sitting behind Budenholzer. I mean, on Budenholzer's bench, I should say. He gets to LA. They get to the conference finals his first season. And that was after they missed the playoffs the year before. With the very LeBron and everything there, they missed the playoffs. He gets there. They get to the conference finals. Now, you say what you want about that run, because they got swept by Denver, but they made the conference finals. The second season he's there, They win the offseason, which was completely overblown. But then as the season played out, you saw the flaws in that team. You're relying on D'Angelo Russell to be consistent, never been his game. You bring Dinwiddie in midseason to give you scoring punch, but he's not a consistent player. Reeves, for all the love Reeves got last season, I feel like he took a step back this year, especially in the playoffs. Then you look at their perimeter defense, still is an issue, which probably would have been a little bit better if you kind of reverse the AD trade when you lose, like, whatever. But, whatever. The AD trade, they give up quality players. They gave up a lot of draft capital because if you look at them, they don't have a lot of draft picks going forward. But I feel like there's probably some more issues within that. But that's the roster Darvin Ham was handed. He got to the first round. They lose in 5 games to the Denver Nuggets. And remember, most if not every one of those games, the Lakers had double-digit leads and then lost them. And somehow, the only one who's blamed is Darvin Ham. And that, once again, that's not for me saying that Darvin Ham's a great coach or anything like that. But if you look at that resume, conference finals, losing the first round 5 games to the same team that's seen as the best team in the NBA, I don't know if that's worthy enough to necessarily lose your job. But they made that decision, whatever. And they fired Phil Handy too, who I thought was some great assistant coach as well. So it's like everybody else getting blamed, except for, well, I guess look, AD's gotten, AD gets a lot of criticism, but it's almost like people are blaming AD and his comments for the downfall of Darvin Ham. Which, let's be real, yes, those comments were pretty damning, but LeBron James had a lot to do with Darvin Ham getting fired. Let's not kid ourselves at all. And to circle it once again back to Greeny, Greeny's almost trying to sell JJ Redick for getting the job next. And Laker fans, or just any fan in general, if they do name JJ Redick as the next coach of the LA Lakers, you know full well who had a hand in that hiring. I'm just saying. The man does a podcast with LeBron, and now magically he's in the running to get the Lakers job. You tell me. But yeah, I think I got everything off my chest there. No, I didn't. Wait a minute. I did not want to gloss over this. This is the last thing, I promise you. So CBS Sports did their all first round of the playoffs, all NBA teams. So they did 3 all NBA teams like the NBA does. I think they're going to name that in here in a little bit. But yeah, CBS Sports did an all NBA's 3 all NBA teams for the first round of the playoffs. And once again, I'm talking you and me right here. If I ask you, so now you're named basically the top 15 players of the NBA playoffs in the first round. Remember that, first round. How many Celtics players would you think would be on your top 15? And how many do you think was on the CBS list? I mean, you probably can understand based off the tone of the video. So I'm looking through it. I'm like, I knock ESPN a lot, Fox Sports, whatever. Let's see what CBS Sports has going on. So their first team, Anthony Edwards, 0 problem with that. Jalen Brunson, okay. I expected it, but like I said, they're very quickly he's going to start becoming overrated. Because yes, Jalen Brunson puts up big numbers. He also kind of a high volume shooter. He'll shoot like 35 shots to get you 40 points. A little bit of an exaggeration, but not too far off. I mean, I feel like almost any NBA player, you give them that many shots, yeah, they'll give you a good amount of points. But I digress. I'm not. It's not a Jalen Brunson kill video. Jokic, okay. Joel Embiid's on the first team. I mean, look, Joel Embiid, yes, is he a great player? He was compromised that whole series with the leg. The games they lost was when the Sixers couldn't get a key rebound because Joel Embiid could barely jump. Yes, he put up, 33 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists a game in that series. But I'm not even going to be mad at that. Donovan Mitchell. Okay, I guess. I don't know. I don't know about Donovan Mitchell being first team. I mean, they beat a young Orlando team that probably should have beaten them in that series, let's be honest. If Orlando had a point guard, which has been my biggest issue with the Magic all season, get a point guard to take the ball out of Banchero's hands or Wagner's hands at crucial moments, because I think in the offseason I said Mike Conley would have been a perfect player for the Magic. And you saw that series against Cleveland, and you come out of that series saying the same thing. If they had a veteran point guard leading this Magic team, they would have beaten that Cavs team probably in 6. Let's be honest. And they pretty much, I would say for sure, would have won that game 7 when they were up 18, looked untouchable, and then didn't. Just like that. It was all gone for them. But whatever. So he's on the first team. Second team, Kyrie Irving. I knock Kyrie Irving a lot. He did have a great series against the Clippers, although that might be a lot to be said about the Clippers because look at the names on that roster. Kawhi, who never played, which, shocker. PG, Harden, Westbrook. 4 greats, whatever. Luka, okay. LeBron James on the second team, okay. Anthony Davis, Tyrese Maxey. Third team, we got Jalen Williams, Jamal Murray, Rudy Gobert, Paolo Banchero, and Josh Hart. So not a Celtic in any of their 3 All-NBA teams for the first round of the playoffs. And if you'd watch that Celtics Heat series, they completely dismantled that Heat team in 5 games, with the only time that the Heat got a game in was game 2 when the Celtics basically took that night off and gave them every perimeter shot they wanted because the way game 1 went, they assumed it was going to be a cakewalk. They lose game 2, and what the Celtics do automatically? Turn it back on, ran that team out of the gym. But for some reason, not one player could get on any of the 3 teams. But it does say honorable mention Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, SGA, Jaden McDaniels, Jalen Suggs, I mean, okay. Miles Turner, OG Anunoby, Hartenstein, Lou Dort, Chet Holmgren. Derek White should have been an honorable mention, if not on one of the teams. If you watch the Heat series, once again, Derek White put up like 23 a game. He shot 48% from 3. And that's with the game he scored, 38 in. So, and played lockdown defense on Hero, Robinson, whoever they threw in front of him. But not a Celtic can make their All-NBA team, much less all these awards going around. Not one Celtic was a finalist. And that's a team that won the East by 14 games, had the best record by like 6 or 7 games or something like that. Couldn't get a finalist. I'm not saying they needed to win any awards, but couldn't get a finalist in anything. I mean, good thing Brad Stevens won Executive of the Year, which he absolutely deserves. But other than that, this Celtics team could have been shut out. And I'm waiting for the NBA to announce all NBA because I'm already prepared myself for the fact that Tatum might be the only guy that makes a team, which I think is highway robbery because Jaylen Brown should be on one as well. Now, all defensive, I'm assuming Derek White's on there, and I'm assuming Jrue Holiday gets some love. But if I don't see my boy Derek White on an all defensive team, best believe you will get another video out of me, kind of in the same sense. That, yeah, yeah. But yeah, it's been 35 minutes. It's probably been way too long. And if you stuck around for all 35 minutes, number one, I definitely appreciate you. And if you did, leave a comment at this point, letting me know you stuck through this whole video because you a real one. But yeah, I think that's everything I had to get off my chest. This definitely helped. So thank you for listening to me. Like I said, I want to hear from you as well. Am I off base with anything I said? Just give me your opinions on anything I talked about. And yeah, we'll interact. You already know I love that. So I guess just to let you know, I'm on Integrity Sports tonight and tomorrow. Then I think a watch along will be coming on Wednesday. Well, for the Bruins. Because the Bruins, it was touch and go there. But they got by the Maple Leafs in game 7. And now they face the Panthers, who, is going to be a bit of a tougher series for my Bruins team. So Wednesday, you'll probably get a Bruins watch along. Thursday, might be able to do Celtics, which I think at that point would be game 2. So I'm going to try to get that one in. Then, so I guess Friday would probably get another Bruins watch along. And then this weekend, definitely get Celtics and Bruins, most likely, watch alongs. As well as, if you didn't see, I did a Madden video here on YouTube yesterday. Been a while since I've done like gaming videos on YouTube, went live. So definitely check that out. Let me know if you like that. I am kind of trying to figure out whether or not I want to, kind of make YouTube the place for my gaming videos as well. But that's, I guess, an internal conversation I need to have with myself. But yeah, so appreciate you tuning in. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Like I said, it was a little bit different, I think, and it was just something that I needed to say, and figured why not talk to you about it, because I want to hear what you feel about it as well. Like, is the NBA media kind of getting to you as much as it's getting to me with the way some of these guys are flip-flopping, or the outrageous takes, clickbait takes? Like, I feel like it's just been on a whole other level, kind of like the past couple of weeks, but especially today, it was just too much today. I couldn't deal with it. But so yeah, let me know down in the comment section. Really appreciate it. So enjoy the rest of your day. Be safe. God bless. And look, I'll leave you with this. Take full advantage of today. Enjoy it for what it is, because tomorrow's not promised, and yesterday is nothing but a memory. So just find a reason to find joy in your life today, and it'll make the world a better place. Instead of hate, love and respect. That's what it's all about. So appreciate you once again, and I'll see you in the next video. I'm out of here. All right.